Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta, and we have a fantastic show for you today. James Rouse is with us. He's from Voodoo Brewing. The only problem with this show is we're not at Voodoo Brewing. We're in the studio instead of being there, it's a fantastic new place that's recently opened here in the North Fulton area. And James is here to tell us all about it, and we'll get to him in just a second. But I want to remind you that if your banking experience, if the bank you're at is driving you to drink, then maybe what you need to do is check out Renaissance Bank. Here's the thing about Renaissance. The folks that I send there tell me that Renaissance is big enough to handle pretty much any need that you can throw at them, but they're small enough to deliver their services in a personal way. Try them out. Go to renaissancebank.com and just pick out a branch, call them, and guess what happens? A lot of people answer the phone. It's amazing. You just don't find that at some of the big banks. Go to renaissancebank.com to learn more and be in touch, and I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And again, now I want to welcome James Rouse. James is the owner of Voodoo Brewing Company. James, welcome.
Thank you, John. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. As I said, I'd be better if we were at your place.
There you go.
But we love having you here, and let's get right straight to it. Right. Give folks an introduction to Voodoo Brewing Company.
My name is James Rouse. In December of last year, 2024, we opened up Voodoo Brewing Company. We are located right next to the Porsche dealership on Mansell Road, exit 8 off 400.
That's a great place to be, and lots of traffic going by there, so folks can hopefully look over and find you there. But before we get into some of the details of what's going on at your place, talk a little bit about your background, your backstory, and why open a brewpub?
I guess you come here to tell your story. So, yeah, I grew up as a military brat. My mom and dad were both in the Air Force. Funny story is, a lot of people are shocked by this. Me and Betsy were both born in the same hospital in Okinawa, Japan.
And Betsy's your wife.
And Betsy's my wife. So that's good to clarify that. But yeah, me and her didn't meet each other until 30 years later. So it's funny that we were born in the same place, same exact building.
Wow.
And then we meet together later because of our kids. But I traveled around. I went from Japan to Alaska and that's when I would start grade school and stuff like that. And so for every year from kindergarten all the way up to high school, I went to a different school every year because military life is just what it is. For my mom and dad, we were constantly on the move. We always had our GMC Jimmy and had a U-Haul. We were pulling it everywhere. We actually drove from Alaska all the way to Myrtle Beach.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he wanted to drive it, and we did it in 6 days. It's incredible. So,
wow.
Pretty good experience. I learned a lot at an early age, and just learn how to keep talking to people and help network to help grow your friends, and you got to restart it over again. And I got pretty good at it after a while.
I'm glad you brought up the effect of military life on the family, because the family gives a lot. And we ask our veterans to stand up and we applaud them, and all that is good and proper, but we also need to applaud the families. Right?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, after school, I finished high school and I went straight into just working. I never went to college, started working for this lumber company, and I started at the very bottom of the totem pole and just rose to the ranks, became a regional manager. Eventually, I was in charge of over 400 of our top client stores, which was Home Depot. I sold lumber products to them, and I helped grow that business. It blew up, especially I was there when it went through the 2008 crash. I went there, and as it just started to explode in how many homes we were building. But yeah, after a while, I wanted another change. So I went and worked for a small startup company, and they did brand licensing for big major brands like Major League Baseball, NFL, Caterpillar, Ford, Harley Davidson. So anything with a brand, we were in that business. And after a while, everyone always asks, like, how did you get into it? I never worked in the restaurant industry ever in my life. I never worked in a brew pub, bar, nothing. I just had a big love for craft beer, and I loved really good food. So one day, my mom unfortunately had passed away, and about a week after that, Betsy and I were sitting on a beach. She got me out of the house. She's a really good wife.
Yes.
Got me out of the house, and I was just sitting there one day, and I was like, thinking about my life, and I'm like, what do I want to do? I've made a lot of money. I've been successful. I've rose through the ranks everywhere I've gone, but I never did anything for myself. And that was missing for me. Mm-hmm. So I just looked over at her and I said, I want to open a brew pub on the beach while drinking a beer. It was only one. I didn't have a lot, so I wasn't inebriated or anything when I asked her. She, without hesitation and with more confidence than I had, was like, let's do it. So an amazing partner, a very strong partner.
Yeah.
And after going through all this of building the place out and opening, I couldn't imagine doing it without her. It was tough. So having a strong partner is very key in being successful.
So, yeah, shout out to Betsy. She's terrific. Yeah. And certainly I can see why you say that about her. What I know of her, she seems like she's got the right stuff, to use a technical term. Why a brew pub? Why did that all of a sudden come to your head? Of all the businesses that you could have thought of out there on the beach, why a brew pub?
I guess my first love that I ever had of course, it's my wife, but my first love, like after my wife, I really was a big wine guy. I loved wine. And I was like, man, if I ever won millions of dollars, I'd open up a winery, but it'd have to be like in a place like California. And I'm like, I don't really want to, I like where I live. So maybe I can open up a winery here, but it wouldn't be the same. But having a brew pub, you can pretty much drop those anywhere you want to. And I ventured out of the wine and started getting more and more into craft beer. Every time I travel, I'd go to a different brewery. They were always different, weird, unique, funky, different setups. Nothing was ever the same. There was no model. So other than you make beer and you hopefully have regulars and events. I've never been in the brew pub that either two of them have been the same in any way. So they're always different. So I was like, hey, I really do breweries. I want to give this a go. And me and Betsy kind of look at ourselves as we're professional diners. When we go out, we know what we want to eat. We know what we want to drink. We know what kind of service we want.
Right.
And can I take that to an industry I've never been in before? And we just jumped into it. But I will say, after jumping into all this, a lot more appreciation for what it takes to do it. It is a lot of work. But to go back to why craft beer, I just love it. There's a lot of science behind it. There's a lot of different flavor profiles, different styles of beers. I love when someone takes a twist on an old style beer and brings something new to it. And like I said, if you go to any other brewery, they're all going to taste different. And I think that's what I'm attracted to most about it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the thing about a good brew pub, it's a gathering place, right? For a lot of different people and reasons to be together. And it's a place that folks can kind of park their troubles at the door and have a little joy in their life while they're there.
Yeah, I completely agree. On our walls, you've seen it, John, it says craft beer without community is just beer.
Yep.
I'm not in the beer business. I'm not in the restaurant business. I'm in the people business. We're here to take care of people and to give them experiences. And so if you can't take your business and dive into the community, like I have just dove in, it's like a big trust fall, and you just got to go with it. You got to meet people in the community. And I'll be honest with you, I believe most people come to our place not because our food is great and our beer is great. They're both really good. They're fantastic. They come back because they like the staff and they like the people that run the place.
Yeah.
They trust us. So you have to be in the people business when you're in a small business.
So what's this business about the doors on the ceiling?
Doors on the ceiling.
Speaking of atmosphere.
Yeah, it's a little funky. Some people think, did you steal that from Monsters Incorporated? I said, no. Right. So the original story about Voodoo Brewing is a franchise. And the original location was in Meadsville, Pennsylvania. And the two owners that started it basically were building out their pub and they were running out of money. They didn't have any tables. They didn't have any artwork on the walls. So they took salvage doors and they just put them up on the ceilings. And then they took pallets and they made tables out of it. And they took literally $67 or some really low amount of money and stuck it in the change drawer. That was what they had for change when they opened. And when they opened the doors, there was a line around the block.
Wow.
So I found out that the original location was closing, not because of business, but because they have a main huge brewery a mile away. So they consolidated, which makes sense from a business standpoint. And I wanted to pay homage to the original location. So we hung doors up on the ceilings, but we also reached out to artists before we opened, and we asked them to paint a door of their liking, and then we would put it up for a grand opening. And we got rid of all the doors we had, and they all came back, and we got them up in the pub. We got a lot. I think we have more than any other pub. We were very proud of that. And I just thought it was something funky and cool. And it makes us stand out. It's definitely a conversation starter. People are like, what did you put the doors up in the ceiling for? Or they say, that's super cool. Where'd you come up with the idea from?
Yeah. It is cool. It's very cool. It sounds, you got to see it to appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that Voodoo Brewing is a franchise. So you're the local franchisee of a national, or I guess regional chain, maybe.
I mean, I would say they are national.
Okay.
They're very small still. I think it was Pub 21, and that's counting 6 of their corporate locations. Mm-hmm. So I'm the only one in Georgia, and I don't even know if there's one even slated to be opened around this area. Mm-hmm. My territory definitely is spoken for here. And the next closest one is in a little town outside of Greenville called Fountain Inn. There's a Voodoo Brewing there, and that franchisee also does very well. And we're out and about. There's a couple in Florida, a couple in Texas. They go as far as up to Idaho and all the way out to Colorado.
And the whole idea of a franchise, one of the ideas of a franchise is it makes it a lot easier to get going. So how's your experience been there?
It's been great. I think what we learned quickly when we were trying to get a business loan, when I decided I wanted to open a brew pub, we were on the phone that day calling people about equipment, and we hit a roadblock when we got to the SBA side of it, the SBA loan side of it. And the person for the loan was like, you have no experience. How can they trust you? All that kind of, a lot of questions. That was their big red flag. So our whole plan was we're going to go buy a brewery, inherit the staff. That was our grand idea. And we started Googling. That's when we came across Voodoo Brewing. Having the franchise there as a support system really just cleared all the roadblocks for us on the SBA loan side, and we sailed right through to getting our loan secured and executed.
Wow, that's fantastic. And that's a lesson for business owners.
Oh yeah.
Is know what your pain points are going to be and what your strengths are that maybe you didn't know to begin with.
Yeah, we had great credit, and we had plenty of money, plenty of startup money to do this, and it still was a roadblock to get it funded from the small business loan. We were shocked that we're like, man, we worked a lot hard all of our lives, saved up all this money, we have great credit, and it still wasn't enough. So don't be discouraged, and I think that's why franchises work a lot. There's a support system in place for that.
And as we're recording this show, first day of May 2025, the environment for brew pubs is tough right now. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sure the bank probably looked at you and was thinking, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah.
But you persevered anyway. And here you are already making a name for yourself in the North Fulton community.
Yeah. I'm happy to hear all that. And I will say the breweries there are a lot of breweries that are struggling, and there are some that are not. So I don't want to speak for everyone, but the ones that are and that are closing, you saw breweries opening left and right for years, and now they're starting to close. We've gone from the business model in Georgia where you used to buy the ticket and get the tour, and that's how you would drink a craft beer. Lots changed then. It's more retail. And also there's a classification of a brewery and also a brew pub. A brew pub is more of a classification of a restaurant. We are technically a brew pub. And I think, one of the things that a lot of people have the preconceived notion that, it's just a place to go get a beer.
Right.
Well, we have cocktails, we have mocktails, and we now have food. And I think a lot of breweries need to lean into food more. Food's more than half my business. I get catering jobs. Kids come in, so we have a kids menu. So if you don't make your place for everybody, you will only have a small slice of the demographics or the pie that you're looking for. we would prefer having a more broader reach to people so you can come there to have a good meal or have a good drink.
And I can see how for some breweries and brew pubs that the owner opened it because they had this thing about making beer, maybe in their garage. They got passionate about it.
Yeah.
And they want to go into that business. And that's where the focus is, not as much on the food and the wine and the mocktails and the other libations that you offer.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that stands out for me is the food. So talk about that, your menu. I want to come back to beer. Don't worry, folks. I'm going to get back to beer. But talk about the food and the menu and what's on the menu and how that got put together.
Yeah, and before I actually dive just into food, I want to just say that there's 5 things I've eventually found out that I did not like about breweries before I opened.
Yeah.
One was they don't have food. The other one is they didn't have cocktails or liquor for people that don't drink beer. They didn't have options for people that don't drink at all. So mocktails, and we have craft sodas in our place. The 4th thing was being very family friendly. So making sure we had a kids menu on the menu available was very important to us. And the last thing was cushions on the seats.
Really?
Yeah, I have cushions on every one of my seats unless you're outside.
Uh-huh.
So that was important because how am I supposed to expect my customers to want to stay longer in my place if they're not comfortable? So those are the 5 things I came away from. But to go to your question about the food, when I first started doing this, I knew nothing about working in a restaurant or a bar or any of those things. I'd never been in the industry before. Through knowing somebody, a friend of a friend, I met Chef Christopher. And meeting Chef Christopher, I lucked out on it. The guy he's not just a chef, he's not just a creator. He's business oriented. He knows how to open and run restaurants. He knows how to gather data to make sure we're going in the right direction, make sure we have our food costs in line. So having Chef Christopher come in and help us identify what we were going to do, what we wanted to do was a system-based menu. When a system-based menu is you're getting the freshest ingredients, but you're also not getting a lot of extra proteins and other SKUs on your list. We're utilizing things like when we create a new menu item, we utilize our existing SKU mix. What does that do? It helps keep products fresher for you and prevents us from throwing more stuff away. So he taught me that. I just thought, yeah, we'll just do this. Mm-hmm. And I want this on the menu. And he's like, where are you going to use this ingredient? Where else are you going to use it on the menu? And if you don't ask yourself that, if you don't do cross utilization, it will hurt your business. And it'll also give a bad rap to your customers because your job is to give them the best quality of product. And when I'm not moving that product and someone orders it, they now have an old product. And you don't want to do that. You want to give it to them as fresh as possible. So he really opened my eyes on the food side of the business. He's trusted me on the beer side of it, but on the food, he really opened my eyes on that. So then we sourced out a local baker. All of our buns are made locally by Mission Bakery. And we just started going through the menu, and we have come up with creative things like pickled pizza and the 3 Little Pigs pizza. Those pizzas are doing really well. And we just created Chicago style pizzas that have hit the menu.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They take a little bit longer to cook, but
they're
very tasty.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We every time we add something, we try to, I can't reprint menus all the time, but it is on our QR. If you scan it, you can see it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Folks, this show's done. We're headed.
I'll call Chef and have him put one in the oven.
Yeah. Put one in the oven. We're on the way. No, one of the things that when I was there the other day, I ordered fish and chips. And I didn't order it for this reason. I ordered it because I love fish and chips. But here's the thing about fish and chips. When they're really good, they're fantastic. When they're bad, they're really bad. And I didn't order them for that reason. But I was amazed at how great those were. I was with someone else, so I was more into the conversation I was having with this person, and I wasn't really thinking. But it came as, wow, these things. It stopped our conversation. Let's just put it like that. And that's the kind of the best compliment you can give food when it hits the table and you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody that the food's so good it stops the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice the ingredient that was in it?
No.
Okay, so on our menu, you will see in pink letters, that's us identifying the craft beer that we've infused in that menu item.
Ah, okay.
So for the fish and chips, we use our Thunder Lizard Imperial IPA.
Oh, wow.
To make the beer batter.
Okay.
So that's our way, and that's another thing that I loved about marrying the food with the beer is let's use it in the beer recipe. So including like things like our beer cheese. It's made with our West Coast IPA, Good Vibes. We have that called out on the menu all over the place because we believe that you can cook with beer. It makes things taste better. And we have a heck of a team that can execute it. And I think, once again, you're going to get the same results every time. We didn't just say, we want fish and chips. We R&D'd that so much to make sure that it's executable for the kitchen, make sure that it's good when it hits your table. Every single time.
It was fantastic. And so you've got the usual burgers. When I say usual, I don't mean that the menu item is bland at all. It's you've got the kind of menu items that people would expect to find in a brew pub. It's just all of what you do, you take it to another level.
Yeah. We have a burger on there called the Faux Killer Burger. It's paying a little homage to the creek that runs next to us. Faux Killer comes from the legend of the Indian who killed 4 people. Called him Faux Killer, FOE. So I'm like, what are the 4 items we're going to put on a burger and just make it ours and make it funky? So it's of course, our burger patty. We have an onion ring, mozzarella, a portobello mushroom, and then A1 steak sauce. And it's a tower of a burger. It's good. People order it all the time. It's one of our staples. So that's another thing that we have created that's been just this. We're trying to find things that the community is missing. And one of the things we found that was missing was, like you said, fish and chips. Good different types of burgers, but also the Chicago style pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad you came back to pizza because that's pretty unusual for a brew pub, right? To have pizza. You expect the burgers, even the fish and chips, all the handhelds, I guess as it were, but pizza sounds a little unusual to me. Or is that just me?
I don't know. I've seen brew pubs that have like pop-ups that will do pizzas.
Okay.
You can buy little one-off pizzas, like little pieces of equipment that will do a pizza at a time. Our oven actually can do up to 8 pizzas at once. So when we're getting rushed, your pizza times aren't going to be up there. We can probably knock out up to 8 pizzas in about a 10-minute period. And that's if we're getting crushed for lunch or for dinner. We actually found really good technology that helped us execute things like the pizza and the pub pretzel on our menu. And so that's why we're able to keep up. But I wouldn't say they're unusual products. Are they a little bit more difficult to have handhelds? We could have gone small game, but we felt like we needed to go a little bit more variety on that menu.
James Rouse is with us, folks, owner, along with shout out to wife Betsy, right? Yeah. James and Betsy are the owners of Voodoo Brewing Company in Roswell, Georgia. Actually, you're right on the line. Yeah. Between Roswell and Alpharetta. So the truth of the matter is, folks, wherever you are in North Fulton, you need to check it out. Right there on Mansell Road, not far from 400. James, let's talk about beer. I skipped to food quickly.
Yeah. You hungry?
You can tell I'm hungry. But let's talk about beer and talk about the different beers that you have. You mentioned a few that you use in the food, but let's talk about them.
Yeah, so I think a lot of breweries too are currently, your craze right now are IPAs. Everyone loves IPAs. They're fantastic beers. I like IPAs. We currently have 9 of those on our taps, but I have decided a lot of people don't like to do more taps. I did as many taps as I felt that I could handle. We did 24. The reason why I wanted to do that was not everyone's an IPA drinker. So we have brown ales, we have seltzers, we've had ciders on our lineup. We've have stouts. When we opened in December, we had a barrel-to-age flight on the menu. It was very pricey, but it's premium stuff that people actually drove a little bit further. There were people that tell me they were driving an hour and a half to come check it out because they have never seen anyone do a barrel-to-age flight before. So barrel-to-age flights are usually stouts, or like in this case, we had a double bock that was barrel-to-age. And there's a lot of commitment in that because sometimes these things are aged for 36 to 40 months. We had a beer that was aged in a Van Pappy barrel called Black Magic, and it's $15 for a 5-ounce pour, but people paid every day because they know that was a premium beer. But then you have your easy crushable beers that we have on the menu. Like we have a thing called Empty Calories. It's an American Light Lager. And if you're anyone that comes in and says, I want a Michelob Ultralight or anything like that, we point them in that direction because that's the kind of beer they're going to look for. Some people ask why we don't have domestics online. And some people also ask why we don't have Coca-Cola or Pepsi in the building. We support small businesses, and I'm proud of that. So we have another soda company called New Creation Soda. But if you don't see a Voodoo beer on our taps, you will see another craft brewery on our taps. We will not put a domestics on our taps. We don't do that. Nothing against them. That's just not what we're about. We're about that craft aspect to it. And then you can go get a Bud Light anywhere. Not to say there's anything wrong with it. Still drink them. The issue is that we want to give people experience when they come into our pub, and you can get that experience anywhere, but you'll get something different in our pub. So that's the kind of the type of lineup we have. We have a very vast variety, all the way from a Belgian triple to stouts to IPAs to your American lagers.
Do you have a sampler flight? Because it sounds like you need something like that with 24 taps. That's amazing particularly for being brand new.
Yeah, you can get up to 6 5-ounce pours on our flight boards. We don't require you get 6. If you want 4, 3, or 2, we don't pick and choose, and we do them every single day. Some places will not do flights on the weekends. We are not that way. If everyone came in on Saturday and 100 people wanted flights, we'd sell 100 flights. Yeah.
Wow. So with that many taps, what's the normal lineup? I guess you've got some standards that are always going to be there.
Yeah.
And then you're going to trade out. So talk about that mix.
So our flagships are, we have a light American lager called Empty Calories. We have another lager. It's a full body lager called Lager Time. And then our number one selling beer is called Good Vibes. It's a West Coast IPA, followed by another beer called Lacto Cooler. So it's a green beer, tastes like a green apple Jolly Rancher. And people that don't like beer end up liking that beer.
Really?
Yeah. It's a very tasty tart beer. It's a sour ale. And then in addition, we have like our Imperial IPA, Thunder Lizard's always on there. And then we have our triple Belgian ale, which is called Voodoo Love Child. And then
what a great name.
Yeah. And then everything else is just, we like to rotate. There are things that'll be on there for several months or half a year, but it's all seasonality. Like when we get closer to October, we'll put some more Oktoberfest beers up. We're entering into the warmer months, so you're going to see like a lot of Pilsners, a lot of beers that are more easier, what we call crushable, like a crushable beer, like something very light ABV. So I can't sit here and tell you exactly what beers we're always going to have. Those are the ones the staples that I told you, we'll have those all the time. And that's why when you go to our restaurant, I always ask that you scan the QR code or look behind the bar because we rotate beers so much.
So let's give a nod to those folks that don't necessarily like beer, happy to get food, but you've got some other libations for those that don't really care for beer, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't say we have a full bar. We're not going to go in there and you're not going to see 20 different bourbons and 13 different tequilas. We'll have a couple of known brand tequilas and bourbons, but we also have our own VBC spirits, Voodoo Brewing Company spirits that we have created that we use in our signature cocktails. So a lot of things that you'll notice about our cocktails as well is they'll come out to the table very vibrant. We put dragon fruit powders and turmeric type of powders and they're antioxidants. Mm-hmm. So they give a little bit more of, hey, we're being a little healthy, even though you're drinking a cocktail, but they're also very colorful and they're little showpieces when we take them to your table. And a lot of people, their eyes light up. They're like, wow, this is like a purple margarita. I've never had a purple margarita before. And we didn't put any food coloring in it. It's just the powders, the natural powders that we put into it.
Yeah. Wow. So I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the engagement you're doing with the community, because you have really gone above and beyond in that regard. So talk about the importance of supporting the community, building community, and the events that you have. And I'm going to tell folks right now, go check the website because we can't tell you all about them here. in this show. So we won't talk about necessarily specific ones, but there's just, you have a ton of events that you put on to support the community.
Yeah, we worked with a community organization, Atlanta Humane Society. We created a drink for them called the Hiss and Fizz, and they're in our shopping center also. So we partner really well together. They'll walk around with kitties and cats around our location, and it causes quite a stir. But when they also have events at their place, they'll send people over to us, and we give back. Every time we sell that cocktail, there's a portion going back to the Atlanta Humane Society. In addition, we just got done with the music festival as well for Roswell, and that helped the Shepherd's Men project. And we purchased a sponsorship there, and we also donated a bunch of beer to that cause as well to help raise money for them. So I've learned one thing being a small business owner. I will be the first to admit, I thought that relationships were transactional, and they're not. You have to build relationships with people. And I've stopped looking at relationships that way. So instead of looking at a person and saying that's a number, that's how much I'll make on this check, I try to get to know them and get them to trust me. So they'll come back, because the repeat business is what is going to make us successful. And I've seen more success in trying to gain people's trust and also give back to the community. And it's funny because I just gave back at another catering event. We sponsored a catering event for another organization in the chamber, and it was free. Like I had to pay for it. It was food. I paid for the food, and I gave them breakfast. But while I was standing there, I got 2 more deals. Another catering event came, and then somebody wanted to do an after hours party at my place, which will be paying gigs. So giving back gives you opportunities to also help grow your business, but it also just makes you feel good as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do a lot of collaborations with others, whether it's nonprofits or whatnot. And you set up win-win partnerships. I guess we need people to be in touch with you to get all the details of how you do that. But that's what your goal is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. What's next? What's coming as you look ahead?
Well,
here,
summer's
James?
coming up, man.
Yeah.
Busy season. We haven't even been open a year yet. So we're also still figuring out our business's peaks and valleys. And like I said, the thing that we focus on the most is making sure that the quality of product that goes out, whether we're busy or not, is top notch. So next for us is we got a lot of people that are wanting to book our place out for events. So we got a wedding party. Halloween's already booked out for us.
Really?
Yeah. We got another weekend or another Friday in October that's booked out for a barbecue competition that's coming around the corner. And then got a couple wedding showers that are going to be happening at our place. So there's things that are coming up for us. But from a festival standpoint, it's weird. We just went through the season. We went through the beer fest in Roswell, and then we just went through the music fest in Roswell. So those happened in March and April. But yeah, right now it's just everyone's trying to line up. And I've already got a guy on the phone with me right now too, talking about Christmas already, getting his company Christmas party. Cause, we're right across the street from you. So we want to book it and make sure no one else gets it. I'm like, there's plenty of days, but you take those and you book them as fast as possible, because it's a lot better in that industry to have more of a little bit of a guarantee. This business is very unpredictable. One day you can be busy. The next day you can be dead. It happens. But when you have catering and you have events lined up or groups coming in, you can plan your labor and your cost a lot better, and it helps you be a more successful business owner. So our goal is to pack out as many events as we can.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And as you and I have talked, don't forget about just simple lunch, folks, right? Yeah. The great thing about, and I was there for lunch, the great thing about lunch at your place is it's just so convenient. Because I was down 2 exits down, and the gentleman I was meeting was 2 exits up, and so we met in the middle. It's your place. You're so centrally located, I guess is the point, right? And
we got good parking.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great parking. So, James, this has been great.
Thank you.
I'm just delighted that we could shine the light on the great work that you and Betsy are doing with Voodoo Brewing Company. Let's give folks directions one more time on where they can find you, not just the physical location, but where they can go online, find out more.
Yeah, we're off Exit 8, off 400, going towards Roswell, and you'll see us on the right. right next to the Porsche dealership. And in addition, you can also look us up at roswell.voodoobrewing.com to check out our website. You can also sign up there for Mother's Day brunch that we're working on.
Okay.
And you can also see all the events and activities that we will have. And you can also just do a quick Google search of us, Voodoo Roswell, to see the rating and reviews that we've had from the public.
Yeah, before we let you go, I have to ask you about that. So you've got 92 reviews, 4.9 is your rating, obviously heavily skewed toward those 5-star reviews. How did you get so many reviews? I know the answer to this question. It's because you do great work and people want to review you if you're doing great work. But 92 reviews in just a few months.
We got a very good team.
Yeah.
Of course, staff couldn't do it without them. We made it also very executable for the staff to provide great service to the customers. So all around, we were able to do that. We also focus on the people that don't give us good reviews. As a matter of fact, I had a person give us a 3-star review the other day. I reached out and explained to them that we were really doing triple the amount of business. I apologized for it and told them that as soon as we saw that we were getting crushed on Saturday, me and my wife literally jumped in the car. We're flying down 400 to get to the pub and help dig the team out. We are, as business owners, we do work our pub. We're not just sitting back looking at a computer screen and doing food orders. We are working the pub. We are in there. I'm mopping floors. We're part of that business. We know our business. And I think I touched base on it earlier, is building relationships with people. I ask people every time I go to a table, I'm like, how was the food? How was everything? And when they give me the feedback, I chat them up. I'm not just, like I said, I'm not focusing on the transaction anymore. I'm focusing on building relationships with people. And that includes anyone that walks into our pub. You'll see me. I'm always having a backwards hat on there. I had to start wearing a hat. I never wore a hat before, but to keep the hair out of the food.
Right.
Like, well, if I'm going to put this thing on, I'm going to go backwards with it. I'm going to be a little bit of a rebel. And that's how you'll identify me quickly in there.
James Rouse, folks, with Voodoo Brewing Company. James, thanks again. Congratulations on your great work.
Thank you, John.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, a couple of quick things before we let you go for today. If you are a solo small firm services provider, you may be even at a larger firm, and you're having issues with your business development, your positioning, understanding the value that you give to clients, which is their perceptions are different than yours, and that's a key thing to understand. And if you're having trouble with your pricing, I've written a book that is just for you. It's called The Generosity Mindset, A Journey to Business Success by Raising Your Confidence, Value, and Prices. It's available where all fine books are sold, either online or at your favorite bookstore. But you can also go to thegenerositymindset.com to learn more about the book. And if you'd like to email me, you can do that at john@johnray.co. Also, I just want to thank you. If you're listening to this show, by definition, you're a supporter of us, and I appreciate you so much because you help us live into our mission to be the voice of business in the North Fulton region and beyond. This is show number 871 of North Fulton Business Radio. Now, I don't know what I was thinking when we started this show, but I was not thinking 871. So you have been the wind behind our backs the whole way, almost 9 years of this show, and I'm grateful to you for your support because you give us the strength and the fortitude to keep on celebrating great business owners like James and Betsy and the 1,300 or so other guests that we've had on this show. Thank you for your support. I'm grateful. So for my guest, James Rouse, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.